Welcome to Uncaged from talkSPORT. I'm Adam Cattrall. The one and only Mr. Brendan Loughnane is right alongside me to get stuck into all the latest from the world of MMA. Before we get stuck into it, though, please subscribe to us on YouTube. The talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel is doing great guns. Lots of big events coming up in the not-too-distant future. We want you to be a part of it. You can get closer to the action by subscribing to the channel. Dead simple. Like, subscribe, and comment. Get involved with everything that we are chirping about. We're going to turn our attention towards UFC in St Louis in a minute. But before we do, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I had Thailand for once. So you had me in Chicago, then you had me in Manchester, then you had me in Dubai. Now you got me in Thailand. But I am staying put now until I might see you in Vegas. How about that?
Hey, listen, I'm obviously keeping up to date with your camp and what have you, mate. There's some killers on them mats in Thailand, sunshine. You've started, haven't you? Getting ready for your next one.
Mate, you know who I shared the ring with today?
Go on.
For the first time. Tim Tszyu and Costa Tszyu. Yeah. Levels, mate. Like, no, not like it's far or nothing like that. Just, you know, Jon Boys took over his camp, his pre-camp. And wow, when I say that man trains hard, yeah. There's this thing called the Big Buddha Run. It's notorious in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
This man went up and down the Big Buddha Run, came to the bottom, and his dad made him punch the bag for 1 hour straight. 1 hour straight, he weren't allowed no water. One of the craziest things I've just witnessed, literally about an hour ago. Nuts.
Wow.
So that's what I'm up to.
For those that are just purely MMA fans and don't keep up to the world of boxing, Costa, you obviously a former pound-for-pound great, fought the great Ricky Hatton on a magnificent night for Ricky in Manchester. But Costa, he's got a heck of a fight booked with Virgil Ortiz coming up over in the States, just coming off the back of his first loss. He's a sensational talent in the super welterweight division. The kid has got hands. Have you had a little spar with him? Have you had a little bit of a tumble with him?
Yeah, I won't be putting the gloves on against him anytime soon, I'll tell you that much, Adam. After what I've just seen him do, mate, there's levels in there, you know what I mean? You think, yeah, I'm a decent boxer and all that. Tim Tszyu just jumps in the ring, starts shadow boxing. Never seen anything like it, mate. I was like, wow. And, you know, we've got the same culture here now, and he's just knocking about, and two world-class operators just bouncing off each other. What more can you ask for?
Mate, sensational. Looking forward to his knock, which is coming up, like I said, against Virgil Ortiz. And I'm sure there'll be a time where you two just have a little bit of a thing. Just give us a little bit of a taste of it on social media, mate. Just give us a little bit.
No way. How about that? I'm not sparring that, man.
Let's turn our attention to everything that went on in St. Louis at the weekend. Derrick Lewis in the main event, taking on Rodrigo Nascimento and starting him in the third round. Lots of talk going into this fight that maybe the new book in the heavyweight division, Rodrigo Nascimento, might be a little bit too fast, a little bit too wary. With that grappling expertise, might be able to get hold of the Black Beast himself and get the job done, but it wasn't to be. Cagey first 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden, Derrick Lewis does Derrick Lewis things, lets a couple of big bombs go, takes his pants off, moons the audience. What more do you want from the big fella, eh?
I mean, he is comedy gold, innit? He's constant. He's knockouts and his entertainment. He's everything. Derrick Lewis could be losing 14 minutes of a fight. Give you one of them and it's over. He's literally that guy. We've seen it so many times now. You cannot switch off against Derrick Lewis. I've seen him take beating after beating after beating and then just come with the ultimate equalizer, and he did it again. What a legend.
It's going to be interesting to see where this goes, because he is becoming that fun guy. There's always going to be a place for him in the UFC. That's 15 knockouts now. So he's too clear of the record. He's doing the business in the UFC, and the comedy aspect of it that always follows his fights. He's thrown his cup into the crowd, which has ended up being signed, and now become a collector's item, which I find really, really odd. Takes his kecks off every single time he has a scrap. Now he's mooning the audience, mate. He's must-see in the heavyweight division, especially when you're delivering viral knockout moments.
Mate, I love watching him fight. I don't honestly, he is one of my top 5 favourite fighters to watch, just for the entertainment value. And his one-liners, he's got the best one-liners I've ever seen. Hey, why'd you take your pants off? My balls is hot. Just he just comes with bars, doesn't he? And they just end up being reels and memes forever. And he knocks you out, 15 knockouts, come on, mate, in that division. And he's that lovable guy, isn't he? Just a bit of a derby on him, a bit of a belly. You know what I mean? He don't really take life too serious. But when it's time, he will iron you out, and he's must-see TV. I love watching him.
he has the knockout record, right? Who is, in your opinion, and we don't necessarily have to just talk about heavyweights, who's the hardest hitter that we've ever seen in the UFC?
Oh, good question. Good question.
Because every time I think about hard hitters, obviously Derrick's always going to come into the conversation because he just has to clip someone and they go over. But I always think of Dan Henderson, that big, massive, atomic bomb.
The H-bomb. Yeah. I mean, you look at guys even like Topuria now coming through, he might be up there. The way he sets them shots up and the way he's hitting people at the minute, he's doing stuff that I've not really seen for a long time. So definitely him. But Derrick Lewis is so unconventional with it. You can tell it's that natural God-given power. He's not training that. He'll walk around the outside and boom, and he just hits you. And sometimes it doesn't even look like the best technique. Literally, when people say God-given power, I do believe in that. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Francis has got it. Francis Ngannou's got that absolutely God-given power. When you put 4-ounce gloves on people like that, they don't even have to hit you that clean for you to go over. I'm watching quite a lot. I know that the technique is a lot better with Alex Pereira, for example, in the light heavyweight division. But even he just has to brush past somebody and you're going over. There's some serious God-given power in that left hand of his. The way that he sets that up, and then, like I say, it doesn't have to be too clean for him to get the job done. There's some God-given power. There's loads, mate. We could go over the years. I'm thinking now, as we're just talking about the Dan Hendersons of this world, Rumble, Anthony Johnson, from all the weight divisions that he competed in. Just crazy amount of power.
Yeah, but Rumble was fighting at 77 kilo and weighing 97. All he had to do was flick you, and it was over, wasn't it? That was insane what he was doing.
Here's one for you.
Go on.
And people are going to think that this is a bit of a fanboy moment here because we always seem to talk about him, and we're going to talk about him a little bit later on in the show. What about Conor? That backhand, for a 145-pound guy, the way that he clipped people with that left hand, straight left, I've heard people talk about electric shocks every time it went across the whiskers or clipped him in some way, shape or form. There's some God-given power there.
Well, you're talking to a guy that's felt it numerous times. I've been that guy. I've felt it. I know about it, mate, and it's real. Yeah, definitely. Especially in the lower weight classes. You've got to look at guys that's why I mentioned Topuria with God-given power, because guys that are 45 and down that are still managing to do it, you can understand with a heavyweight. You're a big lad. Do you know what I mean? You probably played American football in America and done other things. You've got that natural density. But when you look at smaller guys, and smaller guys are hitting you and putting you out, like Conor, when he was fighting Aldo and all that back in the day, that's what I mean by God-given. And you're 100% right. And one more guy that we've got to mention, we can't be talking about power without mentioning it. Paul Daly has hold on. Has 36 knockouts, bro. Hold on.
Semtex.
36. Do you know who the closest one to him is? Conor McGregor with 20. He's 16 above everyone else, mate. That is where he's at. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking British and Irish fighters there, aren't you, mate?
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, 36. It's a world record. He's the world record for the most knockouts is Paul Daly. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't get enough love, Adam, by the way.
Mate, Semtex is the man. Semtex is the one. You've nailed it there. I think he might have the heaviest hands, pound for pound, in world MMA.
For sure.
Tell you something. Wouldn't like to be on the end of that. What did you make of Joaquin Buckley's performance at the weekend? He seems to be a fighter that he's starting to really come into his own. Obviously, he shot to fame because of that crazy back spinning knockout of Impa Kassinyani. Now he's taking on Nursultan Ruzbuev, who, for me, I'll be dead honest going into this fight. I thought Ruzbuev was the favourite. Big, tall, pain in the backside of a fighter, got real good hands, real good grappling. I thought Ruzbuev, maybe Joaquin's bitten off more than he can chew because he shouted he wanted to be in St Louis. But the performance, mate, was absolutely top class.
Well, I was on the fence with you, Adam. I thought, are the UFC trying to set him up here? I thought, he was screaming for the St. Louis fight. They give it him. Then they give him this monster who's coming down a weight division, who's looked unbeatable. And you think, oh, God. And again, like you say, he's another real good character coming out the UFC right now. Must-see TV, fights well, talks well, similar to the Derrick Lewis kind of story. Yeah. And again, must-see TV, another one.
Now, I've seen the backlash online with people saying that he wasted his call out. That's not... Listen, if the guy wants to shoot for the stars and try and get himself a fight with Conor McGregor, make the noise. It's not a wasted call out. Is he going to get it? Probably not. There's other people ahead of him, and I'm sure Conor would fancy other knocks, let's just say, given the profile of where Joaquin Buckley is, not necessarily the level of Conor McGregor. But if Joaquin Buckley wants to absolutely shoot for those stars, mate, and call out the notorious one, I don't see the problem with that. It's not like he's not going to get good fights going forward. If you want to make some noise on that microphone, you call out the top boy.
Michael Chandler was calling out Conor McGregor when he was in Bellator, mate. There was no sign of that ever happening ever in the history of MMA. And now look where we're at. Shoot your shot. You never ever know how the landscape will fall in mixed martial arts. And look, now we're 7 weeks away, 6.5 weeks away from McGregor and Chandler. But when he said it, I remember it was in Bellator back in the day, and I was like, what is this guy on about? Shoot your shot, man.
The other highlight for me on this main card, mate, is Carlos Olberg. His performance against Alonzo Menifield was just devastating. We're talking about God-given power a minute or two ago, and we're talking about guys that put people over. Carlos Olberg has got something very, very special, and he's a blooming good-looking bugger as well, isn't he? Which makes me feel even sick, because he can do that to people and probably clear off with a girlfriend as well whilst he's done it. Sensational.
Well, yeah, let's talk God-given power, because then you look at, like, Kai Kara France, Bam Tuivasa, all them guys that seem to be...
Mate, we forgot one. Mark Hunt. As if we didn't put Mark Hunt into this conversation.
Yeah. There we go. I touched back on it, yeah. But them lot over there, mate, what are they putting in the porridge? Because a lot of them, they're just built different. Like, when you see them physically, they're just like, even the way the arms
Australasians with Samoan heritage, mate. That's what it is. They are monsters. Bad dudes.
Monsters, mate. Even when I've been over there in Australia and you see the dolmen, and they're just like that wide, mate, and you think, what could you ever do with this, man? Nothing at all. Seriously. It's true.
Oh, mate. I played a game of football last week, right? We had a lot of lads that used to play professional rugby league. Don't ask, it was a weird one. Charity game. But there were loads of lads there from Australia, New Zealand. A lot of them had Samoan heritage. Absolute like that, mate. I'm thinking, just put him at centre half. Put him in the nets. You can't even see the rest of the goal. He's absolutely gigantic. Look at the size.
They're scary, aren't they?
Imagine wrestling one of them.
Nah, mate, I have done a few of them. Do you know what I mean? Like, they knock about Tiger a lot, the guys, and I'm like, it's just a different type of density. But yeah, them names that I've just reeled off there, mate, I could name 5 or 10 of them from that side of the world, from that kind of heritage, that are just absolutely one-touch KOs.
And they love a fight.
Yes, they do. And a drink.
Mate, proper blokes. That's what
it
is.
Exactly.
They love a fight and they love a drink.
Yeah, they're the boys.
There you go. UFC St Louis at the weekend. Definitely delivered in front of the crowd. Always good to have the UFC back in front of the crowd. Great to hear Dana White as well in the post-fight press conference say that they're moving away from the Apex shows. They're going to be doing more stuff on local time zones in front of local fans. So that's good to hear as well. So hopefully that's going to be a thing that progresses in 2024, which kind of leads me on nicely to talk about other things that Dana was talking about in his post-fight press conference. And obviously everybody now knows that the UFC, WWE are all under the same umbrella, with Endeavour buying it and setting up a new company called TKO. And I'm sure that there are going to be some crossovers in the not-too-distant future. He alluded to the fact that he wouldn't be against Derrick Lewis going over to the WWE. Can you imagine? I mean, what would it... Derrick Lewis in a lot of lycra, mate. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of makeup on, giving it the big splash off the top rope. What do you reckon?
Well, who's already been over from the UFC so far now? I think Connor's made an appearance.
Well, Ronda became a person, didn't she? What was her character? That she fought in, like, I don't know what they call them now, Summer Slams or anything like that.
Yeah, WrestleMania.
Yeah, she did all that.
Yeah.
Did all that type of
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, I think, listen, personally, right? Like we talked about this last week, I grew up on wrestling. I'm only an MMA fighter because of wrestling, yeah? So I'm really glad now that it's all under one umbrella. And if we start seeing some jump overs, listen, we won't be seeing many of the wrestlers jump in the UFC, let's put it that way, so it'll all be one-way traffic. But why not bring these superstars over? Because they can all talk now, they can all walk the walk. We're very media trained now, and we're half acting anyway half the time. Do you know what I mean? When we're talking, and we're very good in front of cameras now because of the amount of media that we're obliged to do. So it's like, why not throw a couple over? Even Joaquin Buckley, like we were just talking about a minute ago, I think he'd be great over there. People like that.
Go on then. Cut yourself a WWE promo, son. Go for it.
Hey, listen, mate. Listen. Like I said, it's only because the UFC and MMA came around that I'm over it. I'd be in the WWE now. I'd definitely be over there somewhere.
I've got to be honest. Do you remember when, I can't remember which fight it was. I don't think it was his debut. I think it was in the aftermath of beating Tony Ferguson, maybe. But do you remember when Michael Chandler, and he's perfect for this, when I think of fighters that are in the UFC right now that could probably make a do in the WWE, Michael Chandler's probably at the top of my list. There's a couple of others. You could probably bring Colby Covington into it because he seems to have that type of vibe. DC maybe could come out of retirement and go and do
Definitely.
it. But from a Michael Chandler point of view, just with the way that he spits a promo on the microphone, he is absolutely right up there. We've seen him recently at a couple of WWE events. They've given him the microphone and he's rocked the crowd. I think Chandler eventually could be one of the fighters that maybe goes from the UFC and has a little bit of a go at WWE.
I mean, I reckon after Conor McGregor's finished with him, that's where he's heading, isn't it, Adam? That's all right. I reckon he's heading right over there.
Maybe that's what
like you say. Yeah, true. I mean, I'm glad they, like you were saying before, I'm just glad that they put it all under one umbrella now. And that I do think we're going to see a lot of crossovers because it's a similar sort of audience, isn't it? It's an entertainment, men, fight, competition. It's that kind of like all the younger fans now that are coming in to watch MMA. Like I say, when it first started, it wasn't like that. Now it's like I see little kids running around saying, "Oh, I want to be Jon Jones. I want to be this, I want to be that." There was none of that back in the day. So it's a whole generational thing now. So I feel like it's integrating with MMA and wrestling, which is really good.
What would be Brendan Loughnan's finishing move?
Finishing move. So what? Secret of mine, I was very good at trampolining and gymnastics back in the day. I actually was. And I was in primary school. So yeah, a few years ago now. But listen, mate, if I had to throw some lycra on and start doing backflips, yeah, I could do it. Don't write me off with that wrestling stuff.
Would yours be something off? Yours would be something off the top rope, wouldn't it?
So what though? I've got to say they have got a big set of these though. Like some of the stuff that they do, mate, it's not a joke, is it? Like diving off the Hell in the Cell. Remember, Mankind got through off the Hell in the Cell when I was young. It ruined me. Like it tortured me. I was like, Mankind, man, what are you doing? Straight off the top onto a table. I remember watching reading his book, Torrey Mick Foley's book. Yeah, them guys are serious people. No, I know I'm a big wrestler. I don't think you understand.
I can tell.
You laugh at me, but I'm a big wrestling guy. Like I was. You know what I mean? And you're kind of sparking my love back up, mate. I'll have to get the old sticker books out again soon.
I reckon yours would be similar to like a swanton bomb. You know what I mean? Top rope, little backflip job, landing it like that. That'll be your finisher.
What, Matt and Jeff Hardy style?
That's the one, mate. Yeah, I reckon you've got a bit of that inside you, mate.
I reckon so.
A little bit of the Hardy Boys, you know what I mean? Or the Rock.
Put some flares on.
Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. That's my era, you know what I mean? I'm a little bit older than you. Shawn Michaels, you know what I mean? Bit of sweet chin music, sunshine. Woohoo!
Oh, Michael. Yeah. Triple H, The Rock, The Undertaker, Kane. Trust me, lad. That was my era.
Good. A couple of other little bits to get stuck into before we crack on with the rest of our day. I'll tell you what, Jon Jones keeps giving it some on social media, doesn't he? About the prospect of maybe not fighting Tom Aspinall in the not too distant future. Obviously, he's doubling down and saying that absolutely we're heading towards the Stipe Miocic fight, which is looking highly likely to be in and around November. I'm going to put you on the spot here, right? You're a fighter, and I think all fighters, they're not afraid of anybody, right? But do you think if there's a list of fighters that he would prefer to fight, that Tom Aspinall's quite a way down that list for Jon Jones?
I mean, you teed that up nicely. That was very kind of you, that. But that's exactly what it is. And let's have it right. If I'm Jon Jones now, right? How old is he? 40? 40? Adam, close?
I think he's a touch under that, yeah. He's high 30s.
Okay. I've cleaned out generations and generations of fighters. I'm sat there now, I'm thinking, right, who can be my last few quid against? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've already wiped everyone out. I'm the greatest that ever did this. Am I risking it against Tom Aspinall? Nah, I'm not, mate. I'm like, right, who else is about? Alex Pereira, can't really wrestle. I'll just wrestle him. Yeah, I'll take him. Cyril Gane. Well, to be fair, we didn't know that Cyril Gane couldn't wrestle then, did we? We didn't know. Not that he can't wrestle, sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I meant we didn't know that he had a deficiency in his wrestling that Jon Jones obviously seen in his training and executed it. He probably is seeing the same thing with Alex. Alex is a huge name now. He's got this aura about him. They're making statues of his face. He's stone cold. And I just think that built up in his head. He's thinking, my easiest path to victory is beating this guy, not the well-rounded, bouncy Tom Aspinall, used to spar Tyson Fury, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I don't want none of that right now. Do you know what I mean? Right now, I'm just like pipe and slippers, like Alex Pereira, let's go, like let's make these last couple of mils. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously we're British and we want Tom to get his opportunity at fighting the top boy. The top boy right now is obviously Jon Jones because he's a belt holder. This is a problem organisation-wise. From a Jon Jones point of view, I get it. I completely get it. And as a fighter, you can say whatever and you can point yourself in whatever direction for the fights that you want to get, right? And if we just take away the fact that this is Tom Aspinall, just move that to one side. As far as I'm concerned, the heavyweight title holder, if there is an interim title holder, the next fight should be them two fighting each other. I don't care about legacy fights. I don't care about the best of this or the best of that, or the go to this or the go to that. The beautiful thing about the UFC, which kind of differentiates itself away from boxing in particular, is that every weight division has one champion. We don't have multiple belts. We don't have multiple champions. It's very easy to understand for the fans at home. So when we speak to our mates and our mate says to us, who's the best heavyweight? We can then say, the best heavyweight's that guy because he holds the belt. Who's the best featherweight? Well, it's that guy because he holds the belt. Not multiple weight divisions or multiple weight holders. There is at the moment, because of an injury, and rightfully so, the interim belt came in because of an injury, and that's what they're there for, to keep the division moving along. We got an interim champion. The next fight for the interim champion should be the full champion if the full champion is fit. If the full champion is not fit, cool. I've no problem with Tom Aspinall defending his interim championship against somebody else. But the minute that the full champion's fit, he should be fighting the interim belt holder. It really is that simple.
I've got to give you that, but I'm also going to elaborate on your point, right? Now, this is where the PFL comes in, right? Because we are talking 10 guys get thrown in, right? They don't care how many Instagram followers you got. Who's the interim? Who's it? No one cares, mate. You're fighting him, you're fighting him, you're fighting him. You're seeded against him, you're fighting him. And guess what? Every year, the best fighter, not the best Instagrammer, not the best, the richest guy, not the one who's got the best looking bird, the best fighter will win that tournament. Yeah, he might get injured along the way, but he will win. There's no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's nothing in the way of that belt. I feel like with the UFC now, with popularity is a big thing. People can jump the queue for various reasons now. And I feel like with what I'm doing over at the PFL, not to like bring some
what you're doing is pure sporting merit. Pure sporting merit. You have a round robin tournament. You fight this guy. If you beat him, you fight this guy who's already beaten this guy. It's based on sporting merit.
That gets away from the problems that you're bringing up right now of interims and all this. Like, that's why I think there is a lot of publicity going towards the PFL right now. Because of things like this, a lot of the fighters that did come over from the UFC, that they entered this, and you could have a guy like, say, for Anthony Pettis with 2 million followers fighting a guy with 300 followers on Instagram. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's about that fight. It's not about the outside picture. And like what you were saying before, many things get in the way of these title shots now. Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is the fight to make, but all the surrounding factors, do I think it'll happen? Probably not, Adam, if I'm honest. What yourself?
I agree. I don't think it will happen, which is a shame because that is the fight. There's always a passing of the torch fight, isn't there? Jones had it himself. He was fortunate enough when he was fighting the likes of the Shoguns of this world, way back in the day when he was a 23-year-old lad and going through the light heavyweight division. This is that moment of Tom Aspinall should be given the opportunity to fight against Jon Jones. Let's see who the best heavyweight on the planet is right now. Yeah. If Jon Jones wins, Tom Aspinall's going to go on to have a fantastic career.
Yeah.
Jon Jones' name will live on through Tom Aspinall's next fights. If he doesn't win, doesn't take away from all the great things that Jon Jones has done. It just moves Tom Aspinall to the next part of his superstardom. Anyway, I think we're talking about a fight that isn't going to materialise, which is a shame.
Yeah.
You just mentioned PFL there, and I want to bring this up and put this on your toes, right? Because Pete Murray has said, check this out, possibly the biggest MMA debut of all time, Jake Paul. Discuss.
When did he say that? Is this happening?
Well, Jake Paul is obviously highly connected to the PFL.
Yeah.
At the moment, he is fighting Mike Tyson in a boxing match. Where that is going to lead, we do not know. But there is talk, and Jake has spoken about this extensively himself, hasn't he? That at some point he is going to step into the smart cage. So I think what Pete is alluding to there is that at some point, I don't think he's given a date. I don't think he's going to say, but at some point, Jake's going to step into the cage, and that will be the most hotly anticipated MMA debut of all time, given who he is and what he's done in a different combat sport.
And you know what? I respect the life out of him if he does do it, but I will believe it when I see it. Like, coming over to mixed martial arts is not like coming over to do a boxing match. I'll tell you why, because we all grew up throwing gloves on and punching each other. That's just what we know as kids. Everybody knows it. Now, you try someone put you in an inverted heel hook and then try and just like fanny your way out of it. You don't, mate. It's a very intricate sport that takes a long time to understand. And that's why I will go back to Clarissa Shields. I always go back to Clarissa Shields on this. A world-class boxer in her prime came over to MMA. She didn't fight the best girls, but who cares? She fought full MMA rules in the PFL, and I respect her because the rest of them, the rest of boxers, all talk about they're going to come over and do it. She was the only one to do it, and every time I see Clarissa at the PFL, I say to her, I said, I respect you a lot, wow, because you're the only one that said you're going to do it and actually did it. And I think the Jake thing, we're kind of there with that. A lot of people can say Floyd Mayweather said he was going to do it. Everyone's going to do it, Adam. But putting the 4 ounces on with no shoes on and looking across at someone's a different ball game.
Listen, it's interesting that you bring up Clarissa there, right? Because as you said, peak of her powers, multi-weight world champion, undisputed across multi divisions, and was mopping up. And she's in her athletic prime. This is it. We're not talking about somebody at the end of her career. Athletic prime that could comfortably just coast along, go and do some movies if you want, go and have an easy life. But she's wanting to push herself athletically. And by stepping into a completely different field, out of her comfort zone, is absolutely something to be admired. It's admired. I admire Savannah Marshall, who's doing a very similar thing right now. It's kind of looking like those two maybe are on a collision path in the PFL. Fingers crossed Savannah takes to it like a duck to water so we can get that fight on. But from a Jake Paul point of view, listen, the guy comes under a lot of criticism because of the nature of the matchups that he has in the world of boxing. And I think it's mainly because the way that his fan base speak about him in the world of boxing. This guy can beat Canelo. This guy can... Come on, man. Let's get real about this. No problem whatsoever about this young man dedicating himself to the craft of boxing, learning a new skill and putting himself out there. Anybody that makes the walk at whatever level gets my respect because it's bloody nerve-wracking, whether you do it at the charity level for white collar or whether you're doing it at the top level like yourself, Brendan, and various others, right? So from his point of view to come into this game, because you don't play it, fair play. But let's have a bit of perspective about what he's saying. I'm a little bit against everything that's happening with the Mike Tyson thing because Mike's in his late 50s now. Should we be sanctioning and commissioning a fight with a guy who hasn't been a professional for the best part of 20-odd years. I'm against that, but that's for a completely different program. If Jake Paul steps into the cage and has a legit MMA contest against a legit MMA fighter, gets my respect straight away, man. Because anybody that has been on the mat knows what it's like to be humbled. You just get your backside handed to you every single day when you start this process. So if he does that, and it's not just for clout, and it's not just for dough, and it's not just to make money, and it's, to test himself, I'd take my hat off to him, man. And fingers crossed that happens, because Pete Murray's saying that it might happen in 2025.
Yeah, but let's just go back to the original point there. I don't think they're going to put him in with a legitimate mixed martial artist, though. I just don't think that's
so
what
you think it'll be. You think it'll be celebrity, for example?
Maybe not even that, but it'll be a hand-picked opponent, someone who maybe doesn't know how to take people down. He's not sufficient with the wrestling, and what I mean. Maybe someone along them lines, like they did with Clarissa. I mean, I'm sure like they were hand-picked. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
they're still in the full mixed martial arts umbrella, but you're talking about guys. How many mixed martial arts fighters are there in the world? They might put 20 in front of him. The team will break them all down. Well, we think this guy, and he's earned that right because of who he is. And do I think he can win one of them? Yeah, I do. I think he's a young lad. I think he's athletic. I think he's already wrestled through his career. I think his boxing's clearly up to scratch now. He's fit. He's training every day. Why not?
It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Be some celebrity fight against someone like Mark Zuckerberg or something, won't it? That's what it'll be, mate. Monster.
Oh, do you remember when there was a talk of that Musk and Zuckerberg? That was... who let that idea go, man? Biggest fight of all time.
Let's get a lot of rich people who are just trading, scrapping on the telly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, for example, off subject, but Misfits this weekend. Yeah, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it anyway.
Go for it.
Mate, honestly, I was so excited to turn that on. I was like, because Mist was fighting Ryan Taylor, two people that I know. Mate, this white collar stuff and celebrity stuff is exciting. When you got two people that don't really know what they're doing, swinging at each other for the fences, it's almost better than watching a professional sometimes. Do you know what I mean? When you're watching them just blowing the load, getting knackered, and they don't really know about fighting, but they're giving it a go. Mate, honestly, I was sat behind my thing like, yeah, it was great.
Going off in Wetherspoon's car park, mate. Just have a quick nosy at that.
Basically what it is. Do you know what I mean? Great. So I'm all for this whole thing, by the way. I am all these fighters that start getting mad at YouTubers and white collars and this. Mate, move with the times. This is where we're at. What's the point in complaining about it? Join the bandwagon, innit? Let's go.
And on that note, we'll wrap the show up. Thank you very much for tuning in to us. We will be back next week, of course, to preview some more MMA. Make sure that you subscribe to the talkSPORT MMA YouTube channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.